Hey everyone, my last one for the week. Um, Things that are coming to me in the first month of being here. Number one, do not forget your microphone and your cord. Otherwise, you will not be able to record. The last thing that I wanted to talk about that is new to me, that is coming to me here, is internal, and it is the ability to deal with constant fear. I've asked myself why people do not travel more often, even for vacations. That's most of it is money, let's be honest. It's financial. But sometimes, even on those road trips, just take a road trip across the border, sometimes there is an element of fear as well that is hard to live with. The uncertainty. And sometimes that uncertainty is greater than the pleasure and joy of discovering something new. And so sometimes it's not enough to let people travel. So I wanted to talk about my experience with the fear of moving. So I mentioned in previous podcasts, I am a self initiated expat. I asked to be moved to the European office so that I could be in the Europe, Africa, Middle East section of my company. And so my team has people in every single region. So I'm the European region right now, the European, African, Middle East region. And because this was optional, there was a lot of fear on the am I making the right choice? Is this the right thing for me? And I'm not making the choice for myself, I'm also making the choice for my son. And there are, of course, lots of advantages. I want my son to learn another language. I mean, if he masters Spanish, another piece of the world is suddenly open to him. Like there are so many things he can do now if he masters Spanish. And there's so many advantages and I see it. I definitely do. But as human beings, we are pre-wired to pay attention to all the disadvantages, everything that could go wrong, because that's what's kept us safe and that's what's kept us alive. And so I'm looking at my notes here, and before leaving, I'm breaking this down into four sections. So the first section is before leaving. The second section is 2 weeks before, like right before I left. The next section is right as I arrived, and the last section is where I am now. So before I left, the first section, before I left, there was the am I making a huge mistake? Am I running away from my life and my problems? Is that why I want to go a quarter way across the world to a country that I do not speak the language? Like, why am I doing this? And then because I was getting paid in euros, I had a huge drop in my salary. And even my boss said I should not come. And she's like, you are in the headquarters. Why are you moving? Like, I understand you want there's reasons why, but there's a huge salary change that will come from this. And I really get that and I really understand that. But I needed to try. And a friend of mine said, when you are 80 years old, will you regret coming to Spain or will you regret not at least having to try? And the truth is, I think I would have regretted not at least trying. If this doesn't work out and it's just really a bad experience, and I go back to the United States with my tail between my legs in a year's time, then I did that. But at least I had to know I tried. Um, the last part is the fear of exposing my child to my dream, in that this has been my dream to travel since I was a child. I traveled a little bit as a child, but I said that I would have a job that would give me the opportunity to travel. I didn't necessarily do that. I did not follow in my parents' footsteps, but I did say I want to live long term in another country. And when I said that, I did not mean the United States, because it's an English speaking country. To me, there isn't very much of a culture difference in that sense. But for me, it meant a completely different culture that I was not familiar with. And I lived in the Midwest, so there isn't a lot of Latina influence. So I can't say that I even know very much about Spanish or Latina um, culture. So this was something I wanted to figure out. Then 2 weeks before I left, actually all the fear disappeared because I was in the committed stage. I was like, I bought my ticket, I have the hotel, I have the rental car. Now I'm in go mode. So all the fear actually, I wouldn't say it disappeared, but it took a back seat and my executive function came out and I started like, planning stage is done. Now we execute. So I was just on the go. And in a sense, I would say I was numb. I intentionally said I will not allow my emotions to prevent me from acting. So I put myself in a state. And I do that a lot at work or in relationships when I have to do something executive. Something switches off at the moment that I say it's go time, and then I have to move. Then immediately I arrived, it was wonderful because I was looking, my heart was looking for things that I did wrong, mistakes I made, like, oh no, this is not it, this is not. But the hotel was nice, and the first week was awesome. And the first week I did something that I had never been able to do before, and I wanted to, which was I took a 40 euro flight to go see my sisters in England, and I dropped off my son with them to spend time with his cousins. And that's a privilege that I've never been able to do in the United States because it's been too expensive to even consider taking him there, leaving him there. Like on vacation times, it just never was ever possible. But now that kind of interaction is possible. It is possible for my family to now drop off their kids with me and then have a weekend off, have a week off. So that was awesome. Um, so everything was great. I was happy. It was great. Now moving into the reality sets in section, which is 2 to 3 weeks in, and then the fear comes back. But it's no longer the fear of am I making a mistake? Because the problem is I've already committed to it. Now the fear is, am I doing this wrong? So everything is afraid. Am I being late? Am I being early? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? And it's just always in my belly. And there's a lot of inner work I have to do every day to keep myself okay. The first one, for example, and I mentioned it, and I'll put a post up about driving. I rented a car, and now I don't have like American drivers in my insurance. So now I'm like, if I scratch this car, I'm gonna pay for it, and I don't even know how much I'm gonna pay for it. Like I know American costs of if you scratch or you have a little fender bender. I have an idea of the cost, but here I have no idea. Is it gonna be 1,000 euros or is it gonna be 15,000 euros? And it could just fears can just run away with you. Um, I was in a hotel for 2 weeks, and I was trying to get this one apartment who the people did not want to rent. They just didn't want to rent to me, and I needed a specific kind of apartment because I have a dog, and so I wanted something that would let me keep my dog. And I was terrified. I was like, 2 weeks, it's a needle in the haystack. There are 3,000 apartments available in this city, but only 15 let you have dogs, and 14 of them are in the neighborhoods you do not want to live in. So, guess what? I found that apartment though, but I found a different apartment in the neighborhood, in the second favorite neighborhood I wanted to live in. But it was still terror, like, oh my gosh, is this gonna work out? Will they give me the keys? Is this gonna work? And it did. Speaking the language, oh my goodness. Trying to communicate with a guy from Amazon, asking if you're going to be home, what time you're going to be home, and when he can come and deliver. Whew, that's nerve-wracking. And it's just an Amazon delivery, but I'm still nervous and I'm still scared. Oh, and the big one. Will my son fit in when he cannot speak a lick of Spanish? Well, he speaks Spanish the way we teach Spanish in America, which is colors, numbers, days of the week. and what my name. That's it. And so he literally cannot speak Spanish. And I am nervous and terrified that he is going to hate it or the kids are going to make fun of him because, as much as I know, he's probably the only black. If he's not the only black kid, he's probably one of the 5 black kids in the elementary school. So are they going to make fun of him? Will there be racial issues going on here? Um, will he feel at home? Will he just all of that stuff? And I was really scared about that. So far, it's been a week and he loves it. He absolutely loves the school. So I'm like, ah, so that's going away. Um, you know, but as each fear is going away, as I resolve each issue, another need comes up, which brings a new fear, which makes me think of all the things that could go wrong with it. And I do 2 things. One, try to tell myself the truth that it will not be as awesome as I think it is, but it's definitely not going to be as horrible as I think it is either. So the truth lies somewhere in the middle, and tell myself that I will figure it out and I've gotten this far, so it will be okay. And each time I make a good choice, like each time I rent the card for a week and don't scratch and I return it, it makes me more confident that I can make the next decision properly. So each small victory I have works out for me. The second thing I do is also being able to have the capacity to sit in the discomfort of fear. Like one thing I'm learning is that we give these labels to negative emotions like sorrow and disappointment and fear and sadness. Like these are things we should never ever feel, and we try and shove them under the bed. And I feel like that makes it worse, one, and makes us weaker when they do show up and we can't shove it under the bed. Then we don't have the capacity and the muscle mass, what I'll call the muscle mass, to be able to contain it and sit in it. And yes, I should be afraid. I'm in a new country, it's different. And it's okay to be afraid if I can absorb it and sit with it and say that it's okay and give it voice and say, no, it's real. This is a big deal. Then it quietens the voice, or I won't even say it quietens the voice. It satisfies it enough that it allows me to function. It allows me to get on with work. It allows me to get on with this great life with my son. It allows me to do things that I need to get done. So I hope my experience of being afraid and dealing with it helps someone else that is thinking about doing something big. So, or something that is small, but it still gives you a lot of fear. And that is my stomach telling me it is time for breakfast. So I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope this is helping someone. And if you have any questions about living in Spain, hope this was helpful. Take care.